Alt. Drug tests at work. Bring homemade food for the office with slight amounts of THC. They can't fire everyone. Just put it in the coffee maker so you don't have to cook. And use cocaine instead of THC. Everyone will just think it's just strong coffee. Edit. Can't believe this will be one of my top comments. This was supposed to be my porn account. The real tip is always in the comments. Who's got all this extra money to be giving away free drugs to co-workers? Do loads of cocaine and piss in the coffee maker. They did something similar on Workaholics. The pot smoker pissed in every own's pee cup after they gave samples. You forgot the most important detail. It came back positive for everything. Literally everything. Dayquil and Nyquil. Who the hell takes both at the same time? Birth control. Don't use it. Can't have kids. Thanks for the reminder. I don't mean to be nosy, but I heard you say you can't have kids. I can't have pets in my apartment, so. Depends. I worked for a nightclub once and all of a sudden ours came in and made everyone piss. Everyone got fired but me and a bartender. We then had to quickly train a new staff that handled at least 1,000 people a night. It was the most chaotic and stressful thing I've done. The idea of a drug test at a nightclub sounds crazy. Why do you think they did the test and fire everyone? Sounds like something was behind it all. There was a lot of drama going on. A bar back almost fought a bartender and the bartenders started accusing each other of stealing. And the manager got in trouble because she didn't report all of the random drama to ours. Ours got tired of it and said, hey, let's drug test everyone and we will probably get rid of everyone. Unfortunately 2 of us passed. They tried for about a year to find anything on us but nothing ever stuck. After that they let up. I'm intrigued and wish this was a book. Oh man, the next manager was awful. She was a bartender slash manager, which wasn't fair at all because she made manager pay and took half of the bartender tips because they all split. She would work maybe an hour maximum and leave the bar and say she had manager do ice. She would also seat people from the line at a table. I was a cocktail. Bring them a bottle and drinks, open a tab with them, and I wouldn't see any of that money. Story time. A coworker knew he was getting fired. New boss hated him. Everyone else adored him. He was known for making magic cookies, and the staff loved him for it. On his last day, dignified and polite, he brought in a batch for everyone to share. He decorated 2 for each person, wrapped individually, all in a large container. New boss douche sees them. Fat pile of ignorant fuckston that he is. Takes the container to his office and pigs out on one of each of the 12 employees. Thinking he'd be sly and wrap 1 of each and sneak them back to the break room. Porky damn near shit his pants. He was higher than a kite in a hurricane. Threw up all over himself. Started crying. The works. We called him an ambulance, but he tried to drive home and crashed his car in the lot, hitting a patron's car. Cops came while he was out. Amazeballs. It ended off with Boss Hog being fired for using drugs at work. And the fallout of it. Our boy was rehired. And we all had a great time putting the pieces into place. Shouldn't have eaten Gerber's cookies, ya fat piece of shit. This was a ride. I want so badly to believe it's true. Believe it, my child. It was one of the greatest moments of my life. This was the plot of a movie called High School. It was set in a school, but it was about 2 kids who found it their school was starting mandatory drug tests and replaced the bake sale brownies with weed brownies so that everyone would get high, and then they couldn't expel people for not passing. Adrian Brody played a psychotic drug dealer in it. You woke my frog, cunt. What? Should this be an r/illegal tips instead? You right, I just wasn't aware of that sub. Quickly, collect your points there before someone steals it. Hell yeah, about to repost. Yeet. Yeah, but you can get sued for drugging the entire workforce. Well yeah, the idea is that you don't get anyone high, but they all fail. They aren't going to accuse you of drugging the office before they accuse the lab of fucking up the testing. But wouldn't they have much smaller amounts compared to the people who regularly smoke in the tests? Maybe they could accuse you from that. If most of the office fails for minute amounts of the same drugs, your options are lab error. Someone drugged the whole office and no one noticed, or everyone went and got hired roughly the same time a while back. One of those is something that happens to normal people, the other two are TV scripts. That's why all my crimes and capers come from whatever I saw on TV right before. Can you somehow put THC in the water cooler? Yeah, just drop a nug in it. Just kidding. THC isn't water soluble, so something like glycerine would have to be added. Milk would work though. Put THC in the milk cooler. Ah, yes, the milk cooler in my office. Of course. Lucky. Couldn't you just bring in something like popper seed muffins or whatever? Then everyone would get a false positive for opiates. That way no one has to actually drug anybody. Who even drug test randomly anymore? Half the country would be out of work. They can in fact fire everyone. Happened at the shop I work at. After some shit went down, all of the techs staged to walk out. The next day they were all told to get their shit and leave. The shop was fully staffed with new employees less than a week later. You do know what downsizing is, right? Oscar Martinez. What do you think closing a branch is? I have a few questions. Are all employers in the US allowed to test employees for drugs, or is it just in certain fields? This sounds incredibly invasive, abusive, and just absolutely crazy. If they test you positive for a drug, are they allowed to fire you? Shouldn't it be considered part of this sacred freedom if you like to be high in your free time? It's a complicated answer. I'm a teacher and we don't get tested. I don't know of any school in my state, California, that tests its teachers. If they did, like 50% minimum would be fired real quick. The unions wouldn't allow testing anyway. The entire workforce would go on strike immediately. Shit, I know a teacher whose family farms the stuff. Thank you for the clarification. From the LPT it sounded as if everybody gets tested. From fast food employee to astronaut. It can really depend on the state too. In MN only. Drivers and professional athletes can be randomly tested, unless there is probable cause, which has to be documented by multiple supervisors. They can also do pre-employment tests and companies can do them with a yearly physical, but they have to give you 2 weeks notice for the yearly one. I never have to worry about it, but I still think it's a bullshit invasion of privacy. Nathro CBD in there. Non-psychoactive, so no one will find out. No, if you put THC in my food, and still a controlled substance, for some fucking reason. Does it show on tests? Ask you cannabis queen kitty. I don't have to take them lol. P. Or get a job in a kitchen. I've never met anyone stupid enough to try and drug test a kitchen. Or any restaurant workers really. They can fire everyone, and just to spite you they will. Hunchy, all 20 of you all failed your drug test, and all 20 of you all seem to be claiming you've never smoked, so you must have been framed, or druggy. Wonder what all of us have eaten. Maybe the catered sandwiches for last meeting, or maybe that really good cake from 3 days ago. If it's a tiny amount, it's not gonna stay for 3 weeks. Realistically, people would assume there was an issue with the test before assuming someone drugged the entire office. Would 600 milligrams of Adderall in a 5-gallon water cooler be enough to get everyone to test positive? Asking for a friend. Just put meth in the water cooler instead. Adderall makes you test positive for amphetamines and meth is cheaper / easier to get. They can, they do, they will. Just get a bottle of synthetic piss. It's not very big bottle, maybe 5 ounces, that's easy to keep with you. It's worked perfectly every time for me. You only need around 2 ounces of this for a piss test. Walmart has empty 3-ounce travel shampoo bottles for 97c. When I had to take a piss test, I acquired a sample from a clean friend and filled the travel bottle. After, I taped a sock to my thigh that could hold the container and keep it warm. Worked perfectly for me. When my wife took one, she skipped the sock and I renamed the bottle to a container. Also worked perfectly. Pro tip though, always bring more urine than you think you'll need. Most facilities require a 30 milliliter sample, but sometimes you'll have to give 45 milliliters, or have to give another second sample. It definitely doesn't hurt to have too much urine. Source: I'm a drug screener and that's almost always why someone who is cheating fails. Couldn't you just water it down? Well, that wouldn't work for a few reasons. 1. The labs can say that your urine is too dilute and make you give another sample. 2. Unless you bring in very hot urine, diluting it with water at the collection site probably means it won't pass temperature requirements. But the biggest one is that most collection sites don't allow the possibility of dilution unless you're bringing your own water. For example, all water lines in our drug screen bathroom are cut off and the water is dyed blue to prevent dilution. But you can be charged with poisoning. Or just live in a country that doesn't violate your basic rights to physical sanctity and don't get drug tested for weed. And then the one person with food allergies, probably Sharon, who didn't eat any, is the one person who tests negative. And now the jig is up. Fucking Sharon. Any amount of THC that would show up on a pee test would get the user high. Less than that, the chances are low it would throw a red flag. Fuck it. Just do it first thing in the morning so they have enough time to come down before they start driving anywhere. My dad is a welder at a plant and he was telling me PPL used to pay a couple of $100 for their pee or buy fake plastics lol. A place I knew had a random drug addicted person show up asking for a certain person that worked there. The next day everyone had to take a drug test and everyone failed. They fired everyone and shut the place down for 3 days. r/shitella for tips, because there's no way this get traced back to you mysteriously serving cookies out of nowhere unless you're going to bake cookies regularly for the long con. Deleted. What do you mean? The only time I have been drug tested was when I was in a union. They sure can. I worked a job where 190 plus PPL failed test and job was shut down. 0/10ths they did. Hey, thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe.